everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Live Loud. Today I'm your host, my name is Siem. Next to me I have André Ognian, and across from me is sitting Thijs. Today we'll be talking about entrepreneurship, and we have some questions lined up and we'll just have a conversation.
Yeah. So Thijs, I guess we should start this off. So maybe you could tell us how old are you first of all, maybe?
I'm 22 years old.
Yeah? You said you're at Nijmegen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe a brief overview of how you got, where are you in your career right now and how you got here?
That's a difficult one to start with. Of course, I have a company that does events in the Netherlands. And I started with it 2 years ago. But now I'm also a bit at the point of my career that I don't know if I want to be an entrepreneur for the moment.
Oh, how come?
Because entrepreneurship always comes with risk. And it's also nice to have a little bit of certainties and securities in your life. Of course, I did studies, a master's degree in business administration, in innovation and entrepreneurship. So I can get a normal office job pretty easily. So now it's deciding which route I want to go. And which is smart, the most smart in this point of my life.
So you're more opting for a safe option now, is that what you're saying?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah. for the moment, I think yes.
Yeah.
Because the event industry is pretty...
unstable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then how did you end up with your first festival, on your own, I guess?
Yeah, I don't do festivals, do club nights and club events.
Yeah.
And also in indoor locations.
Yeah,
so
the stichting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ended up there because of my biological mom.
Oh.
Because she put me on the guest list for an event in Now Club in Rotterdam.
Mm-hmm.
Because she did events herself when she was younger. So then I met the owner. And he looked me in the eyes and said yeah, you also have to do events. So I've never thought about it before, but...
That was the inspiring moment that...
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you didn't really have a choice, did you?
No, but I thought why not try it and then see where it ends.
Okay, so that's really... It just started out of nothing. And
yeah, kind of out of nothing.
Yeah.
Of course, I had some connections in the event world beforehand because of social media and stuff.
Yeah.
But the business side started, I think, some months after meeting the owner of that club. Yes.
And how did the stichting start itself? Can you tell us about the stichting?
Yeah, how was the concept born, if you will?
I've always liked to do parties and events since I was a little child. I love the music. I love to make a good party. For example, we all have when you graduate in Holland, most people they have a party for celebrating their graduation. So I really enjoyed, for example, organizing that and planning that with the music that I liked and the setup and everything. What was the question again?
The stichting, what is it like? What's the idea behind it? How did it start?
It's a pretty long story, but to keep it short, I did TikTok when TikTok was not that big as it is now. In the rave and party community.
Yes,
part of TikTok. So I made a lot of TikToks, and I said always I made an overview for where you can join the stichting, because we call going out of the stichting as a group of friends, right?
Okay. So it's a community then.
Yeah. And that's where the name is coming from, because I always post those TikToks and they went viral a couple of times.
Okay.
Oh.
And then I thought I'm gonna do an event, and why not call it the stichting, because people are coming up to me at festivals hey, aren't you from the stichting TikTok? Yes,
that's cool.
That's me.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was born kind of a marketing campaign, if you will, or a marketing thing. TikTok was the middle ground, I guess, and then it evolved into something that it wasn't really supposed to be, but you were glad that it became.
Yeah, I think mostly the last part that you said.
Yeah.
It wasn't planned or anything. I didn't make the TikToks with the idea I'm going to do an event. It was just things coming together, meeting the owner and meeting my mom and discovering that she also did events, and then also doing the TikToks.
It just sort of happened, basically.
Yeah. It was kind of meant to be.
Yeah. But you're happy where you are now, of course.
Yes and no, because I think you always see improvements.
Yeah.
You can always do better in hindsight. But I think we all have that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
personally I have that thing also. I always think of myself that I need to do better and I can do better. Yeah.
I think it's pretty human.
So, Thijs, looking back at your way to here and this point of your life, what would you said was the biggest challenge in creating what you've created with the Stichting?
I think finding the right balance. Because like the event industry and parties and stuff, it's pretty
Saturated? You mean like saturated or?
No, the industry is saturated, but I mean like...
it's very busy life, basically.
Yeah, you always have to live in the weekend and it's easy to get lost in that.
Yeah, you're basically working when the rest is partying, of course.
Yeah, but you also have to do like things for networking.
Yeah.
So for you, sorry for interrupting.
No.
Then for you, your biggest challenge was the work-life balance, I presume.
Yeah, and also like the industry changed a lot. Like the past 2 years, I think we can all know that. I don't know if you guys go to techno parties or...
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, so you know, like the industry, like if you look back from 2-3 years ago, they're like now there are so many parties, so many events.
Yeah.
And like you see also, for example, at Tomorrowland, like the biggest festival in the world, that like techno is taking over the main stage, that it made such a big growth.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's like, it's difficult to say like what's gonna be the next big thing.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at the whole industry, it was like this from the beginning of time, if you think about it. At least for how I see it, it's more that the things that have been once sort of underground, you know, with the raves and the things like that, have become mainstream nowadays, and people either enjoy them because of the appeal that they once had, but they kind of lost their essence, if you will. Even if you look at the Boiler Room, for example, I was talking with you a couple of days ago about this. You know, it started up in England in 2010 something.
No, it's younger. It's only like 5 years old, right?
No, it's older, I think.
No, 2011, I think it was.
Okay, anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, then it got picked by some companies from what the underground scene that it was supposed to be. It got picked up by Dice, and then it got mediatized, and everybody was going, and now it got picked up by a giant corporation. And it's gonna be even, it's not.
Yeah, I read that it's being sold by like the second
biggest
promoter.
company.
Yeah,
I forgot the name, but it's big. Yeah, but like looking back, is there like anything you would have done different now? Like for example, the work-life balance. Do you think you have?
Yeah, of course, I would have done many things differently.
Yeah, and then what would you have changed, for example?
Would you have cut down on the work or the life aspect?
I think both, but I think like there's not one point that I can point out that I would have done it differently. Of course, like partying and the music, etc., is my passion. I love to do it, but I think you have to be able to separate like the work and the personal life. You have to be able to separate it properly. I think I would have done that differently.
While we're on the topic, I guess it's only natural to ask: have you had problems with mental health in this regard? Because it sounds like you've been struggling with this a bit.
Yeah, of course. I think like everybody, like in the event industry, not everybody, but why? Let me ask you this: why do you go to party?
Yeah, to let loose once in a while.
Just like to clear the mind, to let go, to not think about things.
Of course, yeah.
And I think like in this industry, there are like many people coming together that have like the same view and go there with the same reason. So I don't think in that regard is the healthiest work environment.
No.
So you think it's all the pressure that we have to face on a daily basis, with all the deadlines that we have to keep, the big responsibilities, if you will, on our shoulders that we have.
There's a big toll on you, of course, yeah.
And then do you think that, you said some people in the industry face these problems with mental issues. Do you think it's a majority or just a limited amount of people?
I don't think it's the majority, but I would say like if I would estimate like a pretty decent amount of people, I think. It
would be normal, of course.
Yeah. But I don't think that's one of the main topics that people talk about.
No.
Because like in this...
It's quite neglected if you think about it.
Yeah.
Have you had other people in your life that face such issues in the industry?
Yeah, I think like also artists they face those issues because they perform in front of a big crowd, and then like you get like all of that attention. Everybody wants something from you, and then like they get they get back to the hotel, and there's like nothing. And like the contrast between like being at a event and performing for that amount of people, and like being lonely in a hotel room, it's a really big contrast. And I think many people and artists also struggle with that.
I mean, that's kind of why we have the 27 Club after all, isn't it?
What?
You know about the 27
No.
Club, no? So it's...
There are some artists, for example, Kurt Cobain, Nirvana,
Yeah.
and Amy Winehouse.
Jim
they
Morrison.
all died when they were 27 years old. Exactly.
Because they got, they burn bright and they are such great
Yeah.
artists, and then they end up in shambles either due to drugs or abuse in different forms and things. So I think it's a kind of it is a phenomenon. I think you could call it that people perform. And then the contrast between, as you said, the stage where you're all in the eyes of the people, and then you're then all alone in a hotel room. It's quite big, and people
And of course,
can
like
deal with that.
not everybody can handle like the pressure to perform, and that everybody knows you and wants something from you.
What would be your biggest tip in this, like,
Good point.
for mental health and work-life balance?
I think to just make it to separate it.
Yeah.
Like to have like a character or like persona that you work with in the industry, and that you have like the personal part that you just separate it.
But how would you separate it?
Can we actually
I
separate
think
it?
separating makes sense, of course, but
Like for example, for artists, like someday a totally different person on stage than they are like in the real world.
okay.
So I mean it like that.
Oh,
And like some
yeah.
people, they add, for example, like a mask to their
okay.
to the performance.
I get it.
So they have like a different persona as a performer than they have like in personal life.
Okay, but then for us professionals, thinking about it, the industry that we work in is kind of a round-the-clock industry. It's kind of a 24/7 job. You can't really take days off and things like that. And then even if you do take a day off, you have to work something comes up in the evening or something needs doing. How would you separate it? Could you separate it? Because at least from where I stand, it's kind of like a sacrifice on your part.
I think it depends. You're always like dependent, of course, on suppliers and on other people in this industry, because you work with a lot of freelancers, and like artists is also like kind of a freelancer. So you work to like a certain moment in time where everything comes together, and of course, like the closer you get to like your deadlines or like the event itself, or to, for example, like a marketing activity that has to be like done at that point in time.
Yeah.
Of course, you're like much busier. You can't say like, I'm taking off and to let it go and everything will sort itself. Of course,
Yeah.
it's not
And
possible.
is this like also the reason, because you said you're sort of at a crossroads, you're not really sure where to go next.
Yeah.
Is this also the reason behind that feeling?
No, but it's because like my second event and my third event, like I was immediately super successful.
Yeah.
So I'm used to have like a really successful event in terms of profit, but also in terms of amount of visitors. And now, like, because the market became more difficult, you put in the same amount of work for less. So I find it harder to accept that you have to do like the same work for
for less achieving less. Yeah.
So you mean that results are harder to achieve nowadays?
Okay.
Of course, you can achieve them,
Yeah.
but it's harder.
Yeah, of course, life progresses. And going back to like the stichting and how it started, like when did you start? How long was it ago?
I think it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So it's quite new actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is it, because I don't know much about the stichting. I've heard of it, but I don't really know. Is it like, what's the music there?
It's focused on techno,
Yeah.
mainly hard techno in the beginning, but I always want to have like a happy sound in it.
Okay.
So I incorporate also like house and trance.
Yeah.
And to me, it was always important that you have to build like a nightclub. You can't just go like full beans like from the start.
No, okay. So you start with a lower energy and then you sort of build up.
I want to receive people like when they enter the club, that they just warm up and they start smiling.
Yeah.
And instead of this, that they are like really going full beans, raving and stuff.
You want to sort of tell a story through the night, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it was always important to tell like a story with your music and with the visuals and everything.
Yeah, I gave your website a read, and I was pleasantly surprised by this myself, because I think nowadays, at least in rave parties and the scene, at least in techno, everybody just goes out the door, and then you enter a venue and there's just blast beats all over, and then you can't really immerse yourself in the experience. Yeah. There's nothing to build on. If I think about it, remember we were in Berlin at Zoile. I think there was something similar, openers were openers, and they didn't go all out just for the sake that they were there.
Yeah.
They created a story. They created a narrative for everybody to build upon for the rest of the evening, and I think that was just something quite. I wouldn't call it innovative, because it should be like this, but unexpected, if you will.
Yeah.
Do you mean like that? It's what's unexpected?
The thing that people, had this discipline, I guess, and way of thinking, that the club evening should be also maybe story driven to the music that they present out. And it was pleasant, and I find this very much lacking nowadays in many venues.
Yeah, but I think that is because of social media.
Yeah.
Because
short attention spans. People just want to go out and do stuff. Yeah.
But also, like, your social media is the thing that sells.
Yeah.
So you have to have like those crazy videos to put them online with the most amount of likes and grab like the attention of people, as you said. That's why they also open like with a lot of excitement.
But then what's there to build upon? I mean, you just hit the peak, and then you even plateau, and then you stay with the peak, or you just go down and people lose their moods.
Yeah, but I think like instructing like the artist, it's also the
part of the briefing, if you will.
Yeah, of the promoter. It's my role, like to instruct them, like, hey, don't play it too hard. There's also like, it's up to the artist, of course. They can do whatever they like, but I think it's also like part of my role.
Do you find that artists usually listen to you if you ask them to do such things, or do they just?
I don't tell them like what to do. I always say like, you're the artist, so you can do whatever you like. I always like to connect with the artist on a personal level. Yeah. To see if they have like the same view on the industry and on music. Yeah. And that's like one of the key things why I would book people, yes or no.
Okay.
Do you think this idea of like progressing through the night is also like one of your like unique selling points, basically?
Yeah, it always was. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's so. Really what it's built upon. And
yeah, they have like variety during the night.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's like 8 hours the same.
Yeah, I know.
Like it gets boring. But if you have like some change ups, because you hire like, for example, 5 artists, they all have their unique sound, That's why you choose them.
Yeah.
To switch it up. Yeah.
Maybe going back to a bit to the more entrepreneurial aspect of it. What would you say were some trends that impacted a lot the Stichting, if you will, as a promotion?
TikTok, of course.
TikTok.
Yeah.
So then social media would be one of the biggest ones, I guess.
Yes.
From 2 years ago, have you seen a big difference in how people handle it?
Yes, I think so. I think like nowadays you can't do like events or anything without the social media aspect. I think, of course you can, but I think it's more difficult. Now everybody is on TikTok, everybody is on Instagram.
Yeah.
And like 2 years ago, like not everybody was on TikTok yet. But you also see like a lot of people, they want to get like the fame. Everybody wants to become a DJ. Everybody wants to do events.
Okay, so this is chase after the fame, if you will.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, everybody's trying to promote themselves to get into places, and then
Yeah, but it makes a lot of sense, because people, they get a lot of, how do you say it? Confirmation through the likes and through the views.
Yeah. and people are chasing approval.
Yeah.
That's it, approval. Yeah.
And that releases like dopamine, for example.
Yeah, that's right. And all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're also using social media still for marketing?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
I had a look on your Instagram page. I must say, you have some pretty banger videos on there.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for years. He should.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. But like talking about marketing, because you also said that first you progress through nights, while usually people just want to go out and go at it, which is usually something we've seen on social media.
Again, what's the question?
Because you mentioned a little, like a couple minutes ago, you said people, it's because of social media that nights don't really progress anymore. And that's the uniqueness you're selling. Is that something you're also pushing on social media?
Not really pushing, but I just want to, I don't promote it that way, I think.
No.
just find it important that they believe in the concept.
Yeah.
And that they look at the artist if they like them, yes or no. But it's not like one of the key selling points that I would promote like on socials.
Okay.
Because I think like the most important thing is like the location or the venue and the artist.
Yeah.
Because if you look like at the artwork or at a banner of an event, what do you look at?
Artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at the lineup.
Yeah.
So I think like one of the most key selling points is the lineup.
Yeah.
Well, on topic of the artist, you said that to book an artist, you need to see in them that they have the same vision as you for the event or about the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Are there maybe any other criteria that you use to, make a choice between them?
Yeah, of course. Like nowadays, you can't not look at the social media and the likes and the followers. But you also have to think if they would sell tickets, yes or no.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can't just like when Corona, for example, COVID just ended. Like, there were so many events. I don't know if you were already going to events then.
A bit. Yeah.
No,
But
everybody was going because it was just.
But like every event would sell out, like for example, in a few minutes because there was not that big of supply of events and there was more demand. So it makes sense that it sells out quickly. And now I think the supply is bigger than the demand, maybe as big.
Yeah, it's a very saturated market now.
Yeah.
Is it also something you struggle with?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because then like I have to look, for example, at artists if they would sell a ticket, yes or no.
Yeah.
And what artists sell tickets then?
The ones that are hyped.
Yeah.
Okay. So the big names then, the people that have already a standing place within the industry, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
for example, like someone who started his career with my event is, for example, Winston. He sold out his all night longs with 6,000 people.
okay.
Like this year, and
Nice. Yeah.
Okay, so then you'd say that certain names bring people to events because they kind of have like a certificate of quality, if you will.
Yeah, but what is certificate of quality?
I mean, you come and then you expect something, and it doesn't matter if it. Let me put it like this: you come, you expect something, and then because that's the artist is playing, you kind of expect that you're also gonna enjoy it because he's kind of famed or people already like him, and then you expect that you're gonna also like it.
But I think that there are multiple ways why somebody, reasons why somebody becomes successful, yes or no. I think it's also like in this industry, like it's not about the music anymore, but it's like indeed like the total package. So in that regard, you can say it's quality, but an artist is somebody who performs, and somebody who performs is different than somebody who makes music.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. And what do you mean with the total package? That is just music and.
Total package that somebody is comfortable in front of an audience, that somebody can interact really well with an audience, that he has like a certain persona and the kind of looks, or he or she.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So then he sells like an experience, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're really looking for performance.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. Do you think things such as like lights, for instance, also play a big role in that? Like lasers, for example. We've seen that a lot on TikTok as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it's important.
Yeah.
And I think like in Holland, we have like a country where like the production side with lights and visuals, it's pretty top tier. For example, you have been to Berlin, right?
Yeah.
And did you guys go to a club?
Of course.
Been to a couple of them.
How was it?
Different.
Worlds apart, I call it.
In what regard?
I think Berlin was more focused on
The music. Yeah.
They also, I think they have better sound quality than over here.
And I've seen also things that have been pushed more. So more, if you will, experimental music.
Yeah.
Think about
general,
Zoile. When we were in Zoile, I never thought I'd see a show like that. Nope. Also, there was a big emphasis also on the lights aspect of it. Not in all clubs, but for example, in Zoile, there was a very nice light design to the scene. I think Gretchen also had something okay-ish, when I remember. But yes, not as much as you'd see in venues over here, but they still have something.
Yeah, I've been to Berlin like multiple times, and I think indeed it's different there.
Yeah.
Also, when you look at the ticket prices, it's much lower.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to me, like personally, like to come back to your question, the light aspect is important for the experience. Yeah. But of course, like the authenticity in Berlin, and when there's more music focus, also.
Yeah, I think Berlin also has a certain sort of credibility that people sort of. It's sort of
I mean,
touristy art?
it's kind of like the mecca of
The Mecca, that's what I'm
like
saying.
the
It's more
mecca of
touristy.
techno, you know, and of underground music.
Do you take inspiration from other places like Berlin or other music scenes around the world?
Yeah, of course. Like I like to see what people like, for example, in Berlin, what kind of sounds they try to push, because it's different than here.
Yeah.
I think, for example, Netherlands is more of like a hardcore country.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Dutch hardcore is pretty famous, and Berlin is maybe more techno, more underground focused, to say it like that. So I always like to see what is the trend over there and if it would work here.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case.
No. But you did experiment with some other genres and styles, or?
Yes, I've always tried to push like artists that were pretty small back then. I tried to push them because I like the sound.
Yeah.
Do you also believe that there's a big difference in the audiences that we have around? Because, you know, you can't sell everybody the same thing.
How do you mean?
I mean, for example, I'm not from here, you know, I'm from Romania. Back from where I come from, and in comparison to here and wherever I've been, I could see a pretty sensible difference in, you know, if a person goes to a techno party, what do they want actually to see? Because, as you said, in Berlin, it's more about the music. Here, people want the full package experience. They want the light show. They want the smoke. In Romania, we don't really have a scene, so people that go there don't expect much in the first place, but they just want to listen to some techno. How do you think an audience impacts the kind of music that you can sell them?
Of course, it's a difficult question.
That's why we're here to answer those.
Yeah, like of course, like the audience will always impacted because they are the ones that buy your tickets and come to your event, right?
Yeah.
So you always have to look at what they want, if that's what you mean.
Okay. Yeah.
But
so it's also so you're creating a product then on the basis of the audience. You're creating something for them. You don't go to them with a already finished product and you hope that they buy it, right?
Of course, it's always nice to have like your own vision and to just bring a product on the market and then like everybody's gonna buy it. But I don't think it works that way anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, you can make like a really big business plan and think about it really sensible, and try to achieve it that way. I think it's still possible. But of course, like having like a big budget and everything, it helps.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Yeah. Because when you put like a lot of effort in the marketing and it makes sense and you sell it to a lot of people that way, of course it's possible.
Yeah.
But I don't think that you can just bring something really new and innovative and then immediately sell it to everybody. Everybody will like it. I think it always takes time to for people to
sort of
accept it. Yeah,
accept it.
To catch on to the trend, to see if they want it or not. Yeah.
Speaking about trends, is there anything you see popping up now that people really get into? Or?
I think it has already been for that, like, music-wise, you mean?
Or events, yeah.
I guess everything.
Just in this industry, it can be a genre, it can be like certain type of event.
Of course, we talked about it earlier in this podcast. Like, it's becoming really mainstream.
Yeah.
And what I see that there's like a lot of edits from existing songs that are recognizable for a lot of people. That's like what the trend is doing.
Yeah, so they take like 80s, 90s songs and they rework them. That's what you're saying. Yeah. I also feel like the 90s are sort of coming back. And I feel like drum and bass or... Sorry?
In a very weird way.
What would you mean, weird way?
I don't know. They're not like... You know, I don't find the spirit of the 90s anymore in how they're brought back nowadays.
No, but like I'm saying just general bits of culture from the 90s. Everyone has digital cameras now. I feel like there's more... So in terms of like music, like drum and bass, I feel like that's coming back as well.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the same thing about that? Or?
I'm not an expert on drum and bass.
Okay.
Any other music genres that might be up and coming and that people don't really see or notice?
From the 90s, then I would say gabber.
Okay.
I feel like that's growing as well.
That's already pretty big, I think.
Okay.
Because like, as I said, like Holland is hardcore.
Yeah, true. That's always sort of been
So
there.
like, to me, like hard techno is almost hardcore-ish at the moment. Yeah. If you look at the intensity and the amounts of beats per minute, like it's even higher than it was like in the past.
Yeah, true.
So I think like maybe like the hard techno movement is like the same as Gabba was like.
Yeah, I feel the
as it
same.
used to be.
Yeah.
But it's different. There's like the adjustments from this area
Mm-hmm.
to it.
Okay. Maybe then, maybe in how you organize festivals outside of course, the marketing side, are there any, not necessarily festivals, but events? Is there something else that there's been an evolution in? Because, for example, for us as students over here, for us, sustainability is as big as a topic as
Yes,
can be
they're
nowadays.
Pushing that a
Yeah.
lot.
And frankly, personally, I'm quite fed up with it already. I understand, I understand the importance, but I think it's people are pushing way too much the envelope on it. Have you seen other such trends, or how do you face such trends in your?
Yes, of course, like sustainability is a big topic,
Mm-hmm.
but you really have to plan it in advance and think about those things in advance. And I think
Yeah.
as a startup,
Mm.
it's not the most important
No.
thing to focus
Yeah.
on. I think it's better to focus like just on the quality of your events, and to have like everything set up perfectly. I think that's the main goal, and then you can think about sustainability.
Yeah, later
For
down the
like-
line.
Yeah, like big corporations, of course, like they have to like how do you say that? They have to
Like like
Yeah,
responsibility.
yeah, yeah. They have like
basically.
corporate
Yeah,
responsibility. Yeah.
implement that in
yeah.
the
Yeah.
strategy, of course.
Yeah. It's sustainability and maybe also inclusivity is something you look into and really it's
Inclusivity, of
important.
course.
Yeah.
I think like the event industry is or the rave industry scene is something. It's a scene where everybody should be themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and that's also how it's being marketed, I think,
Yeah.
and how it's being used. But so I look into that, but in the end, you can't tell people what to do.
No. of
Yeah,
course,
no.
I don't like to tell people what to do or what to
No.
wear.
Yeah.
Like if you just look at the rave scene, like now everybody wears black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It comes from Germany, of course.
Yep.
But in the end, I always said like you can wear whatever you want. I don't care if it's pink, white, yellow, or black, as long as you feel like comfortable in it. I think
Yep.
it's best.
It's kind of like the uniform of techno, isn't it? The full black outfit.
Yeah, but isn't that also just social media? People just see it and
I think
feel like
I think it's just a trend
yeah.
because everybody dresses black. They're gonna dress black.
Yeah.
If you don't feel comfortable in dressing black and you want to dress in pink or whatever,
Mhm.
just do it.
Yeah.
Do your own thing, yeah.
Oh, I do actually. Yeah.
Well, that's a discussion for
Yeah.
I was about to say something. Okay, maybe what do you think is the biggest challenge for the whole music industry right now that we're facing?
I can talk for the whole music industry. I can talk for like the techno part.
Sure.
I think the biggest challenge is how to deal with that the industry is maturing. How to deal with that?
What do you mean maturing?
Like the market is maturing. Like it's being commercialized a lot.
Yeah.
And like
People with money come in and they
Yeah.
want to invest.
Do you see that as a good thing or?
mm, so. I don't
Yeah.
really see it as a good thing, but also not as a bad thing.
Yeah, it brings more money, of course, but
Yeah, but more money is also more challenges,
Yeah.
more people interfering,
Mhm.
more stakeholders.
Yeah.
So
And I guess if you also look like from where it started and how it started, how the industry started, at least this segment, it's very counterintuitive. And if you think about it, because it was founded as a kind of rebellion thing and rejection of the corporation and the
Yeah.
masses
Mhm.
and the media, the
Yeah.
mainstream. And now we're kind of turning it
now
into
it's like big money.
yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's exactly what we didn't want. So
Mhm.
then, how do you deal with it? Do people that organize events in this area are
Yeah.
they against it? Are they for it?
I think, of course, they are for it because more money is a bigger business.
Okay.
Would you also say like for example, we would start an event now, just
Yeah.
idea. What would be our biggest challenge?
I think to just start. Always to start is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, but for example, maybe like there's a lot of money is coming in, more corporations. Would competition really be a big problem for us then?
Yeah, I think so. But what would be like the most difficult thing maybe is to be unique.
Yeah.
Because there are so many events, there are so many artists. It's much harder to find something that's really unique and
Mhm.
to market that to the outside and I really sell that. I really believe in that. It's much harder to find like a unique thing. I think
So the way would be then to find a niche and differentiate ourselves from the others then, and make that our selling point.
I think that's always the goal, to find a niche or to find your own thing.
Yeah.
But since they are like everything like increased, so like the amount of artists increased, the amount of people going to events increased, not events but maybe to techno raves. Like so the supply of everything increased. So also like the quality goes up when the supply increases.
Yeah.
It also makes it much harder to differentiate yourself from others.
So you would say it would be harder for us to start now than like 5 years ago, if like Corona was out of the question, of course.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, not harder, it's also more accessible because of social media.
True.
But it also makes it harder.
Yeah.
I guess that's why we kind of see so many startups, do a promotion or two and then kind of...
Very saturated.
Yeah, kind of fail. On another note, if you will, we were wondering, the techno industry and the hard techno industry are kind of known for the substance abuse thing and that people consume drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this happen at your event also? And if yes, how do you deal with it?
It's something that you can stop, I think. If you go to race, like that people are gonna use substances.
Yeah.
The only thing that you can do is educate them. To say like, okay, for example, at one event I had like a stand where they could gather information about those things. But I don't think that you have to suppress it or anything, because you can't, because people, if they want to do something, they will do it. You can only help them and guide them and teach them.
Yeah, I agree. That's a very progressive approach, I'd say.
Would you say you tolerate it?
Again?
Would you say you tolerate substance abuse? Or is it a question you don't want to answer?
It's not that you can say that I tolerate it, but it's also up to the club and to the other staff how they deal with it.
Okay.
I think like when you are like too strict on the topic, that also will scare some visitors.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you have to find like the right balance also in that regard. And I rather would educate than say like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Or like really promote it. Just like it's a thin line, I think.
Yeah.
And of course, the audience is gonna consume. Have you seen consumption also take a toll on people that work in the industry and just organize the events? Because we've talked about the artists that succumb to such topics. Have you seen it also for the organizers?
Yeah, I think I can say yes, but it's not like the easiest topic, I think, to talk about.
No, of course, and we'd absolutely understand if you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But then it's a thing that happens also for the other side of the story, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this industry now is like the modern day rock and roll, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
So that's how you also can view it. So then you can also see for yourself like a bit how it is.
Yeah. And then maybe circling back a bit on the mental health aspect of this whole podcast that we had a bit earlier. Would you say there is something to do for us, the people that work in the industry, to put more accent on mental health? And if yes, how should we do this? Because after all, I think that most people are kind of afraid of talking about it. It's kind of the same thing with going to a therapist. Do you think we should bring it more into the spotlight, if you will, or leave it to everybody just to deal with it themselves?
I think it's always good to bring it more into the spotlight.
Yeah.
Because indeed, like mental health and stuff, it has like stigma.
Yeah.
That it's not allowed and that you can't talk about it. But I think like everybody and every person has their own background story and everybody's different. And I think it's always better to talk about things than to just push it inside and not to talk about things, because in the end you will explode.
Yeah, definitely.
In the inside.
Yeah.
So I would say like it's a good thing to focus more on it and to make it more open. But that's a role that, for example, the artists can fulfill, but also like the promoters, the organizers, everybody. I don't think that like, of course, like when everybody is gonna talk about it, it's gonna change, but I don't know who is like responsible for that.
So you don't think it'll happen anytime soon that we kind of drag it into the spotlight, if you will?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Yeah, no,
to say.
it's difficult to say indeed.
I think it's more about society in general than about like the music
Yeah.
industry or the scene. I
No,
think
no,
it's a problem of the society.
It's kind of a taboo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. You know, many times, you know, you hear of people that, you know, end up in very shitty situations because of, you know, just bottling everything up and not willing to talk to people
Mhm.
or not having somebody to talk to in the
Yeah.
first place.
Yeah, that's correct indeed. Like some people, they have people to talk to, but you can also imagine that some people, they don't have like a really good bond with their parents or their friends, so they already don't talk about it easily. But then they don't have indeed like somebody to talk to, which makes it even more difficult.
Would you say there is a kind of a responsibility of people that are in higher up positions within, you know, in the event industry, to kind of take care of their employees, if you will? So, for example, you as a promoter, would you say you have kind of a responsibility to pay attention on how people feel around your colleagues and things?
Yeah, I think you always have that responsibility, but it also depends on the person.
Mm.
For example, I would always like to have like a personal bond with the people that I hire, but not everybody works like that.
Mm.
Like I really like it when I just share the same passion and I can call somebody and talk about life or anything. But not everybody does it that way.
So it's not talked about enough, basically, is what you're saying. Should come more into light.
I don't really have a judgment on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. You know, this industry is only bound to develop, you know, from now till, I don't know, we die or
Mhm.
whatever, something happens.
New trends will come and techno will be replaced by, I don't know.
Something else. We'll see what it
Maybe
is.
it's gonna be jazz, I don't know.
Yes.
That'd be nice, though.
Yeah.
That'd be nice to have just back into the spotlight
Mhm.
again. Okay, so Thijs,
Yeah.
what would you say? You know, with your event, you want to create something for people, right?
Mhm.
Maybe can you tell us? Thank you, Sim. Maybe can you tell us what you want people to think or feel after your event, after they left?
I want them to feel like fulfillment, that they really enjoyed it.
Mm?
Maybe a little bit exhausted,
Okay, yeah.
but just that they go home satisfied.
Yeah.
And to me, like, there are multiple ways to achieve that. Like personally, I would love them to feel like that they go home and they are like really happy, that they just shared the experience together and that they are like really kind of happy to each other. Or rather would have them then exhausted.
Yeah.
But that's also up to how you program the lineup and the timetable and your event.
Yeah. What would be like, you've mentioned the happy feeling and euphoria before. What would be like your most important values for an event? Like what is like the most important criteria you need for the stichting? So that would be like happy feeling.
Yeah, of course.
In terms of artists,
Of course, I like everybody to feel at home, to feel welcome.
inclusivity.
Yeah, I
basically.
find that really important. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't have like, of course, inclusivity, happy feeling. I find those things the most important, but
Basically those two then. isn't it? Yeah, that's the answer then.
I don't want people to feel left out.
No, exactly.
Or that they are like only coming there to rave as hard as possible.
No,
I
it
just
should
also
be-
want them to listen to music and to bring that to the audience.
Simply about fun.
Yeah.
Then isn't it? Yeah.
Just having the best night possible.
Yeah.
That's my main goal.
No, that's it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you sometimes, you know, are there any obstacles for you to achieving this bringing this to people?
Yes, because now it's like you have to sell the most amount of tickets. Of course, you have to find the balance between like selling the most amount of tickets and doing what you like.
Yeah.
And of course, like when you don't sell enough tickets and people don't drink enough consumptions, when you don't make any profit, like you can do whatever you like, but it's not gonna work, you know.
Yeah.
And it's more like a hobby thing. And then in the end, of course, like this for me, it was a hobby and became my profession. But you're limited in that regard, I think.
So then financial interests clash with your personal desire to
Yeah,
bring
for me personally,
happiness.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to do the best job possible. You want to give them the best experience possible.
And then how do you deal with that? Do you have like a way to get around it and still, still make some money, but still feel that you bring people happiness? Or do you just have to compromise on something sometimes?
I think, like, looking back in hindsight, I would rather compromise. But I've always had the attitude that I don't want to cut back on the experience.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
for example, for my first event, like, I didn't make any money. I actually lost money, but I just want to have, like, for the audience to have the best experience. So I didn't cut back on anything, because often it gets back to you. I mean, like, when you do like a really good job and people really enjoy it, rather make a little bit more costs and then have that for them to have like a better experience than like the standard experience, because it will convince them to come again next time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you want.
Do you also feel like a lot of pressure from competition?
Yeah.
And what would be like competitors of yours?
I don't have like I don't gonna say any names.
No, you don't have to.
No.
So yeah.
Yeah. But would it be like other like events? Would there be bigger events or smaller events or events with a total different idea?
Of course, you compete with both.
Yeah.
Because the smaller ones, they are trying to find their way up, and the bigger ones, they are trying to stay the biggest and to keep you down a bit. And that's also something that you see in the market and how they operate. Because like the contracts you sign, you just try to get into the best position for yourself, and everybody tries to do that. So like legally you can play a bit, like for example with exclusivities, that for example in one city when you book an artist that you sign exclusivity with them that they can play with for any other event, for example yours or any of a competitor for like 4 weeks or even more.
Okay. Does that happen a lot in this industry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never really heard that.
So like it's something that you don't realize maybe when you go to events.
Oh, of course, yeah.
No.
But like the biggest names often they have like exclusivity, so like you can book them, and then they like the public is gonna say like, hey, what's your lineup? It's not that good.
Yeah,
but you can't.
No, you can't.
I just can't bring people.
It makes sense, but it's a really interesting point actually.
But that's a very predatory tactic if you think about it.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, from a bigger label, you want to keep everybody down, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're sort of nearing the end now, but I have one final question.
Yeah.
What would be your biggest tip?
Yeah.
For starters.
For us,
just
we're gonna finish in 2 years.
As an entrepreneur, like going back to like what the previous said, like we start our own event now. What would be your biggest tip for us?
I would say just start. Don't postpone it. If you can start, rather do it now than do it later. Because you will gain so much experience doing things and just doing it. That will be like my biggest advice, because I came from university and I don't have any practice with university. You just have like only theoretical things. And what I really missed during that time and what I learned now by just doing it, there's so much more value than like the theoretical thing.
Yeah.
So I would say like really just start now, and when there are like things that you don't like to do, just get them over with.
Yeah. So it's just
instead of postponing it. Yeah. Because in the end it will only stack up, and when you just do them, it also will give you a feeling of fulfillment. And I think it's better to not postpone it, if you know what I mean.
It's also experience, the practical experience.
So get hands-on, get your hands dirty, start just working on things and then figure things out.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you're really afraid to fail, you're going to think about it too much, nothing is going to happen.
Well, thank you Thijs very much for joining us today.
Anytime.
I was Andre.
Yeah, my name is Sim, and
this was what was
Live Loud.
Live Loud. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, everybody.